There are faces that belong to a generation, and then there are faces that become immortal. More than 60 years after her death, Marilyn Monroe is still one of the most recognizable women in the world. The white dress, the platinum blonde hair, the red lips, the smile that seemed to light up every room. To millions of people, Marilyn Monroe was not simply an actress. She was the symbol of Hollywood itself. Beauty, glamour, fame, desire, and the impossible dream of becoming someone the whole world remembers. But behind that famous smile was a woman whose life was far more complicated than the image on a movie poster. Before the world knew her as Marilyn Monroe, she was Norma Jean. Before she became a Hollywood icon, she was a child searching for stability. Before she became one of the most desired women on earth, she was someone who wanted to be loved for who she truly was. And before she became a legend, she was a human being carrying pain that fame could never erase. This is the story of Marilyn Monroe, not only the star, not only the image, but the woman behind the icon. Norma Jean Mortensen was born in Los Angeles, California on June 1, 1926. Her early life did not begin with the comfort, safety, or glamour that people might imagine when they think of a future movie star. Her mother, Gladys Baker, struggled with serious mental health problems and was often unable to care for her daughter. As a result, Norma Jean spent much of her childhood moving from one home to another. She lived with foster families. She spent time in an orphanage, and she grew up without the consistent sense of family and security that every child needs. For a young girl, this kind of instability can leave a deep mark. A child may learn to smile when they are scared. They may learn to become whoever other people need them to be. They may learn that love can disappear without warning. Norma Jean would later become famous for a smile that captivated the entire world. But long before cameras loved that smile, it may have been a way of surviving a difficult world. Her childhood was not the beginning of a fairy tale. It was the beginning of a search for belonging, a search for safety, and a search for someone who would finally choose to stay. As she grew older, Norma Jean discovered that people noticed her beauty. At first, it was not fame, it was simply attention. But attention can be powerful when someone has spent their childhood feeling unseen. During World War II, Norma Jean worked in an aircraft factory. A photographer visited the factory to capture images of women contributing to the war effort. He noticed her. The camera noticed her, and soon other people did too. She began working as a model. At that point, the world did not yet know the name Marilyn Monroe. She was still Norma Jean, a young woman trying to create a life that looked very different from the one she had been given. Modeling gave her an opportunity. It gave her money, it gave her confidence, and it gave her a door into a world that had once seemed impossible to reach. But Hollywood did not simply discover her and hand her success. She worked to transform herself. Her hair changed, her style changed, her voice changed, her name changed. In 1946, she signed a short-term contract with 20th Century Fox and adopted the name Marilyn Monroe. It was a name that would eventually become larger than life. But in the beginning, Marilyn Monroe was not a superstar. She had small roles. She faced rejection. She lost opportunities. At times, she returned to modeling because film work was uncertain. Hollywood was full of talented young women competing for the same dream. To survive, she needed more than beauty. She needed determination. She needed patience.